Well, talks between Hollywood studios and the Actors Union have been suspended. SAG-AFTRA went on strike in July, and talks with the studios just resumed this month, but now they are stalled once again. The studios pulled out of the bargaining session yesterday, saying both sides are so far apart that it's no longer productive. And joining me now is global strategist Dr. Olaf Groth with UC Berkeley's Haas School of Business with a look at some insight. One of the main sticking points is streaming residuals. So where do we go from here, and could Hollywood bring down the borders of free data?
Good to see you, Ryan. Good to be with you and your audience. Yeah, so this is actually a big deal far beyond Hollywood, right? So what's at stake now, of course, is the fusion of the tech industry and the entertainment industry, right? And the actors, human beings, not AI-developed avatars, as it were, are saying, look, if you're now taking my real live human performance and you're multiplying that throughout the digital world in all kinds of forms, streaming and otherwise, then I want to get a cut of these additional instantiations of what I do, what I bring. And of course, especially if AI is at work and it can help facilitate, lookalike characters, et cetera. And so this is why I'm saying this is going way beyond Hollywood, has a big precursor precedent effect for all of us, because all of us are producing content, right? My content footprint may be less valuable than Tom Cruise or Michelle Yeoh in their best-selling movies, but I do produce, you produce, we all produce content online, and we have gotten addicted to giving that content, that data away for free, and the platforms give us services in exchange. But that relationship needs to be renegotiated, because now these platforms and media companies are gaining more and more insight into us and into our productivity and creativity. So we got to renegotiate this relationship. So we need three things. Number one, we need a Digital Property Rights Act by Congress. Number two, we need to have solutions in place that protect individual data footprints, right? Privacy assure them and renegotiate terms. And number three, we need to have a transparent, multi-sided data market into which we can flow that data, that part of our data footprint that we think could be negotiated, could be sold without violating our personal privacy charters. So those are the three things we need. And the actors and the writers have been doing great work, I think, blazing the trails for us. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, the Hollywood writers, they actually came to a deal, about last month. So are you surprised the actors have not been able to piggyback off of that?
Well, so what's getting hung up here is that the representatives of the corporations are playing some of the same tactics on the actors that they played on the writers, and those didn't sit very well with the writers back then either. Now they were able to get over the hump, but the actors, frankly, are not too eager to engage in the same way. This is the corporations bypassing the negotiation table and going public with some of the terms they're proposing, right? And so I think right now it's hung up in the tactics of the negotiation, and we'll see how it plays out in the content. But clearly the writers blazed the trail here with some great terms for the actors and for the rest of us, frankly.
Turning to another subject, to electric vehicles, Ford pitched a plan to Congress to build a factory using battery technology from China. So how could this shape the future of EVs right here in the U.S.?
Oh, in many ways, right? So for one, it'll determine how quickly we can scale up on EV availability in the United States and at what price points, right? So this will determine how affordable the cars are, how many car models are available in the market. And frankly, then as a result of that, also our air quality, right, and our energy economy. And so this is actually a very critical issue. What this is all about is Ford essentially going at loggerheads with General Motors based on a clause in the Inflation Reduction Act, right, which the Biden administration put out there. And that says you can only get subsidies for these EVs if they contain U.S. made and invented battery technology. And Ford is saying, but if I do that and I wait for us in the U.S. to develop that capability, then I'm going to be too late to market with my car models. The Chinese are coming from China with their car models. They are advanced in battery technology. And so they're essentially going to eat my pie. And so Ford is saying, let me do a licensing deal with a Chinese supplier, CATL, CATL, to get to market quicker. General Motors is saying, no, we can't. We don't want to do that. We want to comply with the Biden administration legislation. And so the two of them are battling this out right now. For us in California, again, this has the impact of potentially less clean air if we don't get to greater market share for electric cars. It could have a negative impact a little bit on some of the car factories in our state. But I also see some upside in terms of developing local capabilities for R&D at which we really exceed here in the state.
This is an interesting subject because I was actually just talking to a friend that may be buying a Volvo, and it's my understanding that Volvo's already made that shift and is starting to work with China.
Yes, and look, we need to work with allies that can help us develop technologies, right? So we should collaborate with the Chinese, beat them at their own game, accept some of these licensed technologies in order to learn how they do what they do. That's what they've been doing for 45, 50 years in turn, right? So we should be doing the same thing, but then work with allies and with allied car brands, of course, around the West, with Japan, with South Korea and other countries. India comes to mind, in order to develop our own capabilities that may well exceed the Chinese capabilities. But that is the brave new world of friend and foe alliances around the world in the global economy, whether we like it or not.
All right. Well, always good information, always fun talking to you. So Dr. Olaf Groth with UC Berkeley, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure. Take care.